when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Welcome back to Hockey Night in Australia. This is the Hockey Hype Australia podcast network. You can find us at hockeyhypeaustralia.com.au. Back for another episode, another week after the Australian Ice Hockey League, and we have the three of us here tonight, not four of us, and we have Tristan Metcalf finally on the podcast. Welcome, mate.
Thanks, Doogie. It's nice to be able to drag myself out of bed and be still awake at this time to have a chat to you guys.
Yeah, what time is it?
It's just gone 11:30 here on Tuesday night.
Yeah, so you're digging in. You put in the hard yards for us, so it's good stuff.
Yeah, I get paid overtime for this, right?
Yeah, exactly. How are you, Courtney?
Good. Happy to be back for another week and lots of hockey to talk about.
It was another massive week in the Australian Ice Hockey League. GG, Gordon Goodenough, isn't joining us tonight. I have heard allegedly that I haven't had it confirmed, but I think he's run out of suit jackets, which is why he hasn't come on tonight. So hopefully he finds another suit jacket for next week's episode. That's just unconfirmed. But the first person in the chat, we always get so many people in the chat. The first person in the chat tonight is none other than Gordon Goodenough. Good evening, folks. Long time listener, first time commenter. Keep up the great work, team. Thanks, GG.
So I think he beat Phil Taylor.
Exactly. Yeah, Phil's nowhere to be seen at the moment. We got Corey from Minnesota. So morning to Corey. Jessica as well is here. And Tori Diver is in the house once again and saying a big welcome to Tristan. And Andrew John Egan is RIPGG. It's good while it lasted. And obviously, Sean O'Connor not joining us tonight either. Another long-time listener, first-time commenter. Brilliant to see the gang back for another week of AI banter. So it was another big week of AI hockey, and we can get stuck straight into it with the round 10 results and some big results here, Courtney.
Yeah, we saw a lot of interesting things happen over the weekend, and there's quite a few very close games where it's the margin is just a one goal difference. So a lot of tight games, which I think makes it really interesting and exciting for the fans. One game personally that had me on the edge of my seat was the Melbourne Ice North Stars game. So pretty good first period, but racking up, I think it was around 88 penalty minutes between the second and third periods was certainly interesting. I call that stressful hockey for me. I don't like seeing anyone get hurt or I love the physicality, but not over the top. So that was certainly an interesting one. And but one that stood out to me on Saturday was the Brisbane Lightning Ice Dogs game. That one really came down to the wire. I'll call it an almost goal by the Ice Dogs that was waved off as the puck crossed the blue line, crossed the goal line just after the buzzer went. So it was like a mere seconds, but the ref was right on that line. And I think a lot of Ice Dogs fans would have preferred to have won it on the cusp of regulation, but they went to OT and were able to finish it. And on Sunday, seeing the Brave as they keep proving they're getting back in form, a nice big win over the Mustangs. So it was good to see on that end, and just seeing the Brave find their feet again. So OT in Newcastle, again, another interesting one for North Stars fans and down to the wire. But I want to shout out Charlie Smart on that game. He faced 53 shots and only 2 went in. I think that is a phenomenal effort from a goalkeeper in this league. And as said as much from Ben Bro when I interviewed him after the game. Any thoughts on any games you watched, Doogie?
Well, the two that I picked out last week when we were talking about it was the Rhinos, Adrenaline, and the Ice Dogs and Lightning. And they were the two games I was really looking forward to. And those two games on the Saturday were phenomenal. But that Ice and North Stars game, I wasn't watching it live, but I was getting messages from people throughout the coverage, and it was like, it's getting chippy. It's getting heated. It's going to boil. I was getting all these messages from people saying it's going to be on here. It's going to be on here. And then I did get a message from Corey Katina, and he sent me a message, and he said 0 penalty minutes in the first and 66 in the second, or something along those lines. And I was like, what is actually happening?
I mean, when you have a player from each side of the bench who got 5 and 20s, that really throws those numbers up very quickly.
And those players, was it Hamish Powell and Liam Webster? I mean, first time either of those guys have been in trouble.
Shocking, right? I think something that caught a lot of people's attention too was both were against unwilling combatants. So Liam's was, Bo went in for a shot, and as he skated past the goalie, got pushed into Ishida, and then it all blew up from there. And so it's interesting when you're getting those sorts of penalties against people that aren't fighting back.
And we all know that goaltenders are untouchable. So you can't touch a goaltender.
Absolutely.
I mean, especially in this league, because everybody relies so much on that starting goalie. So yeah, they got to protect them. But the unwilling combatants is always an interesting one. Again, in this league with guys, they got to go to work on Monday morning. It's a fair ask to ask someone to drop gloves and get into it.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I'm always surprised when it happens, that sort of stuff, especially when you've got to front up to work on the Monday. I think on Saturday too, a big result was the Mustangs, a big 5-2 win over the Brave. Getting Scott Timmins back obviously helps, and Scott came up big for the Mustangs. And that game, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on as well, that Melbourne Ice Sydney Bears game on the Sunday was absolutely unbelievable. End-to-end, goals galore, and it was the title of this episode, Barnburners and Penalty Boxes. Brody Lindahl getting the winner as well against his former team. It was a decent crowd there as well. Absolutely unreal. Two of the best teams, 1 and 2 in the Helier. Two of the best teams in the league. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I think
that's a great game.
I think that was that result really speaks for itself as far as where those two sit in the standings, and I think we'll look at that in a moment. As far like more than anyone, I think those two are really battling it out for that top spot, and every game is going to count. So that's a really big one for the Bears to take at those points.
Yeah, massive win for the Bears. Puts them sort of up there. And I guess it's keeping touch with the Ice at this point, given I think the Ice got a game in hand still. But look, I think you'd be hard pressed to say any other teams are really hunting them at the moment. As good as Perth have been, and they've been very good, but geez, the Bears and the Ice are flying.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got some comments here. So GG just letting everyone know that he's recovering from injury. We'll be back soon. And another comment from GG. Toivonen had 2 really good starts in a row against the Bears last weekend and on Sunday against the Stangs. Absolutely massive. Toivonen coming back into the roster. It's. I think it's really it's just obviously we know the talent, but it's just made the Brave so much stronger.
Yeah, it's been great. It's taken a bit of pressure off Alex too, and like Tets was great through the first 14 games of the season where he played 13 in a row. But having that tandem, and those two work really well together as a goaltending tandem. But having Alexi to come back in and start those big games, and you can go to him, and he's going to give you a really high quality goaltending. And in those 2 games, he's been incredible, especially on the small confines in Canberra. It's easy to score on a pond, isn't it?
Andrew John Egan in the chat as well. Gooch going after the record we set in Div 3 summer. I think I know what he's talking about there. As a new coach with new qualifications, get better soon, GG. And GG's all in the comments tonight. GG, first time the Bears beat the Thunder at Macquarie in regulation since July 2018. That is unbelievable stat, actually.
Yeah. Especially
So
given how
GG's
good the
pulling
Bears
out.
have been.
Yeah, GG's pulling out the goods. Natasha Denton is always here every week. New lineup tonight. Hello, Tristan. I don't know you, but I hope you're well.
Tristan is our stats man, Natasha. So yeah, 98% of our stats are coming from the brains of that very smart man.
Much better with spreadsheets than I am with podcasts.
Hey, jump on the website and you can see all Tristan's work on there. It's all good stuff. Corey Katina as well. It's going to be fun to watch that battle for the rest of the season. Natasha in the comments as well, and Clothy. Nice to see Tristan bring out the Cook Islands formal wear for the evening.
Mate, I mean, last Sunday best.
I'm guessing it's probably a bit warmer where you are, mate, than we are at the moment.
A little bit.
So the other result I wanted to highlight as well, and we can have a quick discussion before we move on. I think it's really cool to see Adelaide get back-to-back home wins. We know how much Adelaide fans have been starved of wins on their home deck, in their home rink. So I think it was really cool to see a packed ice arena there in Adelaide. Watch their team get 2 important wins. Caden Elder scored 4 goals on the Sunday. Just an unbelievable talent. We're blessed to have someone like Caden in the league. And the rink, it was packed out. Like, you look on the other side from the grandstand, you see people standing around the netting there getting rowdy. So it was really cool to see the Adrenaline get 2 back-to-back wins.
And you mentioned it in your Five for Riding article, Doogie, just about the rink stuff and the issues they had.
Yeah, it sort of looked like I was watching it live, and it looked like I felt like the game was going to be called off. And I know that I was putting the comments in the Slack that it didn't look promising. There was people coming out checking the ice. The coaches were talking. The players were there. The players disappeared. But they got it up and running in the ice crew at the arena. So yeah, good stuff to them to get the game going again.
Yeah.
So was it the signage that was lifting?
Yeah, it was some signage that was lifting through the top of the ice there. So they had to fix that up.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit scary as a skater. You wouldn't want to run over that. That could easily create issues. Yeah,
well, I think that when the coaches and etc. were checking out the rink, I think they definitely want to make sure that it was 100% safe. So it was a bit of a delay to start the third period, but yeah, it was good that they actually finished the game. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, worth shouting out as well. That was on Saturday's game and Sunday's game. The first 2 wins for Ryland Toff as well in the Adrenaline. He's been great for them since he came in.
Absolutely.
Nice to see a team in front of him put a few goals on the board and get him that W.
Well, it was the thing that the Adrenaline were lacking, weren't they, Tristan? Just getting goals. They seem pretty tight defensively and doing a good job. It's just, and I always think when people, how do I word this? I always say to people that I think your best defense is scoring goals. If like scoreboard pressure, I think scoreboard pressure is a huge thing in sport, and I don't think people talk about it. You can be defensively sound all you want, but if you have goals on the board and scoreboard pressure, that really tightens up the opposition.
Oh, absolutely. And if you've got a goalie like Toth in there and like Ishida, like 13, like James Downey's started the season as well, you don't need many goals, but you've got to have something in there. And it was good to see the Adrenaline, especially on Sunday, just open it up a little bit and really start to score.
We got GG in the comments. It was awesome to see Zach Boyle get the winner on Saturday and Toth finally getting his first wins, despite being credited with a shutout loss earlier in the season. And Natasha, awesome. Thanks for your smarts, Tristan. So all the love for Tristan tonight. We can move on to the standings and look at the Hell Yeah Conference straight up. Courtney.
Yeah, look, I think every week at the moment there's a lot of excitement building for games because the race for the top 3 is still close enough that it's getting us excited. So that Ice vs Bears game, I think, for any of the fans watching it, would have had them on the edge of their seat. And those two teams now sit tied. So for the last couple of weeks, they've been one or 2 points apart, and now to be sitting on the same points, I think every game coming is just going to be so important for the two of those, and to see who's going to land on top. And Thunder's fighting. So they, the North Stars have seen them 3 times in the past fortnight, and taken quite a few of those points. Off the top of my head, I think they've taken 7 of the potential 9 points. And when you're pinching those numbers out of the other conference, it really adds up over here. And not sure, Doogie. I think we getting close to that's probably our top 3 at this point.
I would say so. I think it's still statistically possible for the Mustangs, but I think those 3 are set. I can't see those 3 changing at all.
Other than potentially the order.
Yeah, well, the order is what we'll probably look at as the season progresses, but I can't see that top 3 actually changing. There is some tasty matchups. The Bears have got the North Stars this weekend, and you've got the Thunder traveling to Adelaide to play Adelaide on a back-to-back, and two wins for Adelaide at their home rink. They stay in Adelaide. They don't travel again. They got another home series this weekend. Who knows? Who knows what Adelaide can produce against the Thunder?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And when you've got those 3 teams who are going out and having really successful wins each week, they're moving into each round with that confidence that they know they can win. They know they can do it. So that side of hockey that relies on mindset, I think, is working very much in the favor of the Hellier Conference in that regard. And any thoughts, Tristan?
Yeah, I was just looking at it and thinking that, like, I agree with you guys. I can't see anyone else coming into that top 3 in the Hellier Conference, but both the Mustangs and even the Ice Dogs, they're better teams than that. Like, to be likely out of the running at sort of the halfway point of the season is a bit of a shame, because they're real contenders. Like, they're strong teams, and they can bring it to anyone they're playing against. But look, those top 3 teams are just too good at the moment.
And I don't know. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I don't know, Tristan. I don't know if you know the stats around the Mustangs and the points and the way it's sort of falling. Like, if they obviously got to go on a flawless run, and obviously if the Thunder just fall off a cliff as well, but it's going to be tough. And they've got a Melbourne derby this Friday night too, so it's not getting any easier.
No, it's not. But I mean, quick rule of thumb: they've got 14 games left, and they're 14 points behind, so they can get it done. But it's tough. It's a real uphill push from there.
I think one of the sort of spicy aspects of this conference too is that the incentive starts to disappear for the Mustangs and the Ice Dogs to, like, ideally you hope that they will still show up and give their absolute best every game, but there is that growing opinion, and I see it out in the AIHL fans who talk that, it does make it tricky when the conference system isn't quite as equal. So if we flicked over to the Rurat conference, you then see a much tighter battle with points than we do in this one. So while the North Stars hold a 9-point lead over Lightning and Brave, it's 9 points isn't much in the scheme of another 14 games that still need to be played. So, and even then the Adrenaline Rhinos aren't as far behind and can very much have a good run and get themselves up in and compete for those spots. So, as I mentioned a moment ago, like the Brave making their way back, they sat at the bottom of this conference for quite some time at the start of this season, and they've had a good run, and now they're sitting in 3rd. So, I guess thoughts, Doogie?
I think, and we just sort of touched on it with Adelaide and Perth this weekend. You just look at Adelaide, and we know GG's big on Adelaide this season, but you look at those games in hand, that's massive. And if they can get on a run, then they're really a strong contender to get into that top 3.
especially after they picked up all 6 points against the Rhinos on the weekend, and those intra-conference points are huge. So they'll be a little bit disappointed a couple of weeks ago where they only took 1 of the 6 points against the Brave. But when they come up against particularly the Lightning as well, and on the other series when they come across to Erina, if they can pick up most of those points, they're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I agree. We just got some comments as well in the chat before we keep going. Phil Taylor is finally in the chat. GG's bringing the big comments tonight so he doesn't have to lose his spot to Tristan permanently. I totally agree with Phil. Natasha Denton, what are the Thunder's chances of catching the Ice/Bears?
That's going to be a tough one. So through the games against the Ice and Bears so far, they've played 4 games, they're 1-3. They can catch them, but it's uphill just because that's 10 points per 2 of them, and I don't see the Ice and the Bears dropping huge amounts of games on the way home.
Sean O'Connor, if you think you have the top 2 Ice and Bears in the race between the Thunder and Stars for 3rd. Andrew John Egan's in the chat as well. Going to be tough, especially with Bears run at home firing up. Corey Katina in the chat. One thing to consider is Bears Thunders still have 3 games against each other, including 2 of the last 3 games. And Sean O'Connor, I was surprised by the Rhinos losing both games. I thought it would be a split weekend in Adelaide. I did actually as well. I thought the Rhinos were a good shout to at least get 1 win. 1 win from the weekend, and the Saturday game was really tight. I enjoyed watching the Saturday game, and it could have gone either way. So I was surprised about that as well. I know about you two that the Rhinos couldn't get at least 1 win.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised too, especially after I think it was the weekend before, or maybe the one before that, they'd had a really good showing against both the Thunder and the Bears, where ultimately they got beat, but it was really tight margins, and they had sort of, I think in both games they led at points in the second period. So they came in with a bit of form.
Same with their matchup with the Ice. Like they took Melbourne Ice to overtime. So there was an expectation of that, I guess, being that bit more competitive, and certainly nothing against Adrenaline, but when they're matching up against the top teams in the Helia conference so well, to then go in their own conference and not get 1, I did definitely thought they might have been able to get something there.
I think it's good. I know we talk about this a fair bit, and it is pleasing to see that they aren't getting blown out. So they are just staying competitive now, which is really good to see. And you hope that the wheel starts to turn, where those tight losses that are 4-3 or 2-1 or the overtime loss start to turn in their favour.
And it's with the North Stars too, like while they sit 9 points ahead, they have quite a few away games coming up. So we only have 5 home games left out of the next 14. So that's a lot of games on the road. And now when they've been used to only traveling fairly close distances, to start pushing and have that energy to play away, I feel they've really got to come together. While they're a bit depleted at the moment as far as a few players that are out. For example, they've got a Brisbane road trip at the end of the month. They've got an Adelaide doubleheader road trip coming up as well. So they're going to be like 2 weekends where those points will be incredibly valuable because they're interconference games. So hopefully we'll see some good competitive games come out of those, because Adelaide and Brisbane will want the points to get up the ladder, and Newcastle's going to want it to keep their seed, like keep that top spot.
Yeah, things could really tighten up in that conference as we move into the end of the month. Some more comments as well. Phil Taylor, I tipped a split weekend for that too. And Andrew John Egan, Rhinos dropped their bundle a bit. I put the Moz on them. He certainly did with last week's comments. He's big on the Rhinos, Andrew Egan. Moving on from the standings, we do have the points leaders after week 10 of the competition that we chucked up on the socials earlier, Tristan.
Yeah. Well, looking through this, I think it's nice to see Scott Timmins is giving somebody else a chance to lead with having a couple of games off last weekend and one off on Sunday. So Adam Cadlick there leading everyone with 47 points. He's also leading the league in goals with 23 goals. Timmins is second there with 15. That pairing with Cadlick and Herman at the Bears has been dynamic. They've been dominating. Some pretty familiar names down the rest too. Francis Drolet is pretty much a fixture now at Newcastle, and I'm pretty sure Joey Hughes has got sort of some Benjamin Button disease. He's still in there at his age. Probably related to this as well, I think we put up a graphic, I think yesterday, that just mentioned that Austin Ulbrich, with his third point on the Sunday, he broke the record for the fastest 100 points in the history of the AIHL, to be at least in terms of games. So the previous record was held by Peter Cartwright and Brian Bales there, which were a pretty lethal pairing when they were playing for Newcastle back in.
And those two played together.
Yeah, they were good. I think it's worth pointing out that those two guys, they managed to get their 100 points in 29 45-minute games as well, which is an incredible rate of scoring.
Wow.
That's phenomenal, Tristan. When you think about it, like that stat there, with the length of the periods.
Oh, like every one of those guys on that list, incredible scorers in this league. But geez, what we've seen Austin do over the last 2 years, with all respect to everybody else in that league, that the league has been improving over time as well. We know he's an incredible scorer. No wonder the Melbourne Ice was so pleased to get him this year. And yeah, look forward to seeing what he can do. But hopefully, nothing too savage when he comes up against the Brave. If he comes up against the Brave again, it's a big if at this point.
The points leaders, Lucas Herman moved from 6th to 3rd following the weekend. So between Cadlick and Herman, they had 14 points together across the weekend. It does seem like it's the same old suspects in the top 6 there. Erdogan sort of floats in and out between Hughes and Erdogan down that bottom section of the points leaders. But when I look at someone like Francis Drolet, I just think of consistency every single season. I just think consistency, just showing up, doing. You sort of know now, and obviously, Courtney, you see Francis Drolet up close and personal. It's just every season, you sort of know what you're going to get now coming out of Newcastle with Drolet.
100%. And honestly, on Saturday's game, he could have easily put up a few more points for the North Stars. He's very patient, but his intuition to know where to be and where, like, how to follow and support the puck carrier in. There were so many times he was just at the perfect place at the net and the puck just didn't quite bounce right for him. And he does it week in and week out, where if he isn't carrying the puck in and making a beautiful pass to a teammate, he is the one waiting for a pass and being open, being ready, and just in great spots. So I fully expect he'll keep adding to those points as the season goes on.
He's such a great playmaker. Like, you're watching the way he sets up these teammates really well. He honestly, he reminds me of guys that have played in the past in the league. The one that stands out is Anton Kokkonen, in the same sort of boat. He's a really good playmaker, really smart hockey player, and sets up his teammates so well.
And Adam Cadlick's a joy to watch. And I know GG's been working on a feature piece with Adam that hopefully will come out at some stage in the future. It's a really cool story with Adam, who had time away from hockey, a fair chunk of time away from hockey, and got the phone call and came out here to restart the career. So it's pretty cool to have someone like Adam in the AI as well, a highly talented player coming out of North America.
Yeah, it's great to see. Good news story.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have our, as we did mention it earlier, we do have our game of the week, but we are going to run some highlights. So we had three overtime wins on the weekend, and we got some highlights here. So the first one that I'm going to chuck up here, and Courtney, you might want to close the eyes here. It was a big win. It was a big win for the Thunder. Rob Hasselhurst, who is just having another phenomenal season for the Perth Thunder, came up huge, got in front of the net, just redirected, tipped it, whatever you want to call it, and got the win for the Thunder.
Saka battle up against the boards. Burno and Drolle combining. Berard kept in the zone. Hazelhurst behind the net finds Bro on the right-hand side near the North Stars bench. Bro, you can almost hear a pin drop at the Hunter Ice Skating Stadium. Bro fires, tapped in. Hazelhurst, game over. Perth Thunder. There's another thunderstorm in the building.
Unfortunately, deflections like that are very hard for goalies to cover and then protect. And just a well-played shot and a well-placed deflection.
So Rob Hazelhurst looking at the replay, Courtney.
Yeah, it looks like it just comes through to the feet. Rob finds it, and it's just the back. This angle might make it a little bit easier to see. He's right in Charlie's face.
Right face, right time.
Can hear the sadness in my voice.
I do love those sort of goals. Just the hand-eye coordination. It's 15 points from 14 games now this season for Rob. Just playing well again for the Thunder.
Yeah, he's had a great year, and that role he plays on the power play for Perth is for me like that guy right in front of the net. So important, and you see across the league guys playing it, but he's been doing it for a long time now.
Just at the end of that game, I interviewed Jamie Woodman just about the game overall, and I asked him about Rob Hazelhurst. So I just want to read out what he said because it really complements how Rob ended that game. And Jamie said, "I love Rob. He's an absolute hero. Sets the tone for our team energy-wise. When he's buzzing, the whole team is flying. So good to have him playing well. It drives us up to another level, and it just shows in that game. He just." When he got that deflection, got it past Charlie, the celebration, and how quick his team came in to celebrate with him.
We've got Natasha Denton in the chat. Oh, my heart again. I can't deal with Thunder's close games. I was seriously stressed out over that game versus the Stars and Andrew John Eagle, Hazelhurst with the DIY job. And we have Natasha as well back in the comments. Woody is such a great captain for Perth. Love the guy. They are rolling the Perth Thunder, having a very good season. The game that you mentioned earlier that you really enjoyed, Courtney, was the Lightning and the Ice Dogs. And the Ice Dogs did get up. And Cameron Todd, there was a little bit of controversy with this goal at the end. People were calling for goalie interference, but Cameron Todd did get the winner.
On the ice, Dick and Todd. Todd to McDonald. McDonald getting pressure, takes the shot, hits the post, and shoveled in by the Ice Dogs.
Wow. There's a lot of concern by the Lightning about some goaltender interference there. That went off the crossbar and popped back out, and then the puck was put in by the Ice Dogs player off the rebound. So
there's a penalty call.
And here's the goal again. You'll see here it goes up off the crossbar, bounces back out, and standing there is the body in front of, that is Todd. Number 94, Todd, able to put it in. Meager, unhappy, feels that he couldn't properly.
So it's a big goal for Cameron Todd. 4 points for the night, 2 goals, 2 assists. The Lightning did score. Mitchell Dick scored with just under 2 minutes to go to force the overtime. But the Ice Dogs get a massive win. And just another one of those goals on the doorstep.
Look, I think the refs made the right call. I actually, watching the replay of that, I rewound it at least 4 times to watch it over and over. And while the player, you can see that he is quite close to, like, the angle's tricky to know exactly where in the crease he was, but you can also see there's a lot of room for the Lightning goalie to have moved across, but he's just caught unawares of where the puck had bounced out, and that's where the Ice Dogs capitalised. So I think from my angle, good call by the officials, but just heartbreaking for the Lightning. I know, North Stars have been on that end of it where that awkward bounce and the other team gets it. But it was quite a win for the Ice Dogs. And having spoken to Coach Quisler quite a few times this season, that's the kind of game that he would have been liking to have seen them win a few times in previous rounds, that they were just losing right on the cusp and right at the end. And now they've turned that around and getting it in the back of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. I think watching the Ice Dogs has been a little bit frustrating this year because for 50, 55 minutes in games, they've been really good. And then there's the short periods where they'll let in 2 or 3 goals, sort of one after the other. That's really hurt them. So it was nice to see them sort of hang on. Lightning pushed hard and came back a bit in the third, but to see the Dogs hang on and get 2 points at least was really good.
And Sean agrees with you, Courtney. Always a goal. It was a massive win for the Ice Dogs to get. I do agree. I think it was a goal as well, and it's a big win for the Ice Dogs, who have obviously sitting bottom of the standings, and wins have been hard to come by. The other big result from the weekend was obviously we talked about, and we will get right into it as well. In our next segment was the overtime winner from Brody Lindahl against the Melbourne Ice, his former team. Electric atmosphere and a really good goal.
Bears maintain possession, and now here comes Lander. It's a potential 2-on-1. Lander passes, fired. It's a goal. Brody Lindahl has scored the game winner against his former team to win in overtime, 7-6.
Piece of play from Hayashi to start that off. He was the first to come on for that line change, and he just took it behind the back of his net just to wait for that full line change, get some fresh legs out there before making that pass. Look how Landa's just so patient with it, and then passing it to Lindahl to just score on that backdoor wide open net for him. Way to go, Bears.
What a play by Thomas Lander. Using his speed, the native of Kladno Chechia really burned his man on the outside against the wall.
So a good call from GG. He got right into that result, 7-6. I loved it. But the thing I love about that goal, the finish from Brody is really good finish. But Lander winning it on the defensive blue line and just burning past the Ice player. Like when you're in overtime, the legs are obviously a little bit heavier. You've been out on the ice for a while, but able to just dig in and put the jets on and burn past the Ice player to get that position and get the pass. I love that.
Oh, he's dangerous. That's all I can say. Lander is dangerous.
Yeah, wherever you find him. And honestly, I love the symbolism a little bit in it too. Like you've got, how old's Tommy Lander these days? So late 30s, very late 30s. And Brody Lindahl's 18. Sort of that generational sort of passing the torch with the Bears. I think it's something for Bears fans to get really excited about too.
Andrew John Egan's in the chat, and he's an Ice fan, so I'm guessing it's because it's Brody. Scored a game-winning goal. Botched the Sally. Should have been recalled as a result. Could be a bit of a salty Ice fan there for Andrew. Natasha, the Sally was awesome. I totally thought he was going to face plant. Sean O'Connor, the echo in GG's call makes it seem even bigger. And GG is in the chat. Important to note that the Bears had 2 import spots open against the Ice, which you would expect will be filled shortly. Would love to see a full import complement on both sides once those imports arrive and Erdogan returns from suspension. That is a good call from GG. If those 2 teams are at full strength with full complement of imports to pick from and everyone's healthy, those games, no matter what ice rink you're at, Macquarie or O'Brien, they'll be unbelievable.
I just did a quick search on elite prospects. Thomas Lander's actually 40, so
very late 30s.
Sharing that knowledge with the next generation, it's such an important part of the important part of the game to see as they go. And I know I've spoken to Bert Malloy in the Rhinos. That's a big part of his love for the Rhinos at the moment is he's able to be in there and help that next generation of that team and that club grow into the AIHL. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep, still getting it done. Sean O'Connor, same with the Brave GG, still have 1 to 2 import spaces open. So it will be interesting once these teams fill out their import spots completely as we head towards finals. That's all we got for the highlights. We do have our game of the week, which was the Sydney Bears and Ice game, Tristan.
I was going to palm that across to Courtney because, to be honest, I have not seen that game this week.
Yeah, apologies, fans. I didn't watch this one either.
Well, it was electric. This game had lead changes throughout, and obviously the overtime winner, a packed crowd, and the main players were coming up big again. So for the Bears, Eden, Cadley, Kerman, Lander putting up multiple points, and the Melbourne Ice, we did touch on it earlier with the 100 points. Austin Albrecht in a 5-point game in a losing game, putting up 5 points. It's crazy when you think about Roman Kramer, who scored a hat-trick in a losing side. Roman Kramer has been sensational for the Ice since returning. Just slotted in like had never left. Jeff Solo, who I'm a big fan of the blue line, had 2 points, and Hughes had multiple points as well. But I find it crazy that Austin Albrecht puts up 5 points and you still lose the game. It sort of doesn't compute with me in my head.
I think that highlights just how close of a matchup this game was.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I echo your point, Doogie, on Kramer since he got back, 2 weeks ago. He's been incredible. And I've got to be honest, I very much underrated him. I saw him coming out of a little bit in the SP and a little bit in the Fed, and I thought, oh, yeah, he'll be okay as maybe as a 5th import, but he has been on fire since he got here. He's been fantastic.
And it's one of those he's put up since his return 4 games, put up 10 points in 4 games since returning. So been phenomenal for the Ice. It's one of those there was 3 shorthanded goals in this game, 2 power play goals as well. So this game had absolutely everything. I think, and I did mention it in my 5 for writing, that the Bears just continued to come up trumps. So the Bears, whenever they're tested, they just seem to find a way, for the most part, get a result and have things fall their way. And they do have some big games coming up as well. So they obviously got the North Stars this weekend on Saturday, but they've got a big Sydney derby, and we did talk about the Ice Dogs, and then they've got the Mustangs as well. And the Bears, they just continue to impress me. And when you see a comment like that from GG about the import spots, it's quite scary for the rest of the competition.
Something we haven't mentioned at all about the Bears is Anthony Kimlin's back as well, which is a fair addition to the lineup. Sort of hasn't been there all year.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's sort of I suppose you overlook it sometimes a little bit, Tristan, because you're so used to Kimlin just slotting in there and making the saves. But getting Kimlin as well back into the lineup is massive. We do have some comments in the chat as well. Jeff O'Hara still bringing it at 45. It's crazy. GG as well. Ice was super aggressive on the PK. They certainly were. GG. Cincotta was super impressive for me on Ice. And one comment, the Bears didn't score a single goal 5-on-5 outside of the top line all weekend. That's pretty crazy stat as well from GG. And Sean O'Connor, the Bears obviously special teams specialists. It was a really good game from 2 really quality teams. And I'm guessing it's sort of what we can expect, hopefully come finals time, when these teams match up against each other. We can expect to see these sort of performances throughout the finals, which will be really, really good to watch. Moving on from Game of the Week, we have our Hockey Hype Australia Team of the Week that the illustrious panel pick every single week, that everyone loves. We get no backlash from this Team of the Week at all. Before we move on to that, GG in the comments, Bears missed Annesley big time on the power play. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, GG. Totally agree. I did think of that when I was watching the game. Team of the Week time.
Yeah, so just because the internet will always love this, so it's nice to put it out there. I think probably the big thing to jump at is we got a couple of adrenaline players starting at the back end. Got Ryland Toth with his first couple of wins in net, stepping out Mike Dalhusen and Ethan Hawes on the blue line. Both those guys had great games across the weekend. Ethan Hawes had a really good offensive game as well. And then that front line, look, we've talked about Cadlick. Scott Timmins doesn't need much of a rap. I mean, we all know what he's been like since he came to the AI. But watching Caden Elder is just a good time. Like, not only is he driving so much the offense with Adelaide and taking up coaching responsibilities and stuff now, but he's got a nice sort of knack for a bit of flair. He doesn't mind a bit of a highlight reel goal and a highlight reel play, which makes watching the adrenaline a lot of fun. So it's nice to see him put those 4 goals on Sunday's game and get into the Team of the Week.
It's almost like a cheat code with Scott Timmins. Just has a couple of games off and just rolls back in and scores a hat trick and just says, I've had enough of this and I'm just going to have the Sunday off. No, that's not what he did. But it's just rolling into rolling back in and putting up a hat trick. Touched on Cadlick, 8 points across the weekend for Cadlick. Was absolutely massive. And Ethan Hawes seems to be popping up in this Team of the Week pretty consistently, Courtney.
Yeah, look, he's fast. He's got great hands. He handles the puck well, and he moves through people so quickly. So I think North Stars have had a bit of a window of a slump, but he's really finding form, particularly in the last few weeks. I know the results haven't reflected it, but he's like, everyone loves Horsey. He's a favorite around the rink. Sorry, he's a favorite around the rink, and he just keeps getting better and better. And he's still young. He's still got so much room to grow and develop. And I think we're going to continue seeing great things from him, not only for the rest of the season, but moving forward.
And I think one person to make mention as well for this Team of the Week, and I hope I don't butcher the last name, Mike Dalhusen. First time I think that Mike's been in the Team of the Week, but a 4-point weekend in that game between the Lightning, 1 goal and 3 assists. So that's massive for the Ice Dogs as well.
Yeah, he's been great for them since he joined. I think early on in the year they were really missing sort of that big puck moving defenseman, but now that he's in there and they've got Crowder up and rolling as well, it is really helping them.
We got Natasha Denton in the chat as well. No Thunder players. This team is dead to me. Sean O'Connor, Timmins did not play on Sunday because it would be too unfair to the opposition and the other top scorers in the league. Would not surprise me, Sean. Sean as well, they suffered from split in votes. And Gordon, Mike Dalhusen is massive. He shut down Albrecht last weekend. Big defender, and I'm glad that he got into the Team of the Week this week as well. It's good to see a few different names in there as well. That's quite pleasing to see from players from the Ice Dogs and the Adrenaline. Then we move on as well to the fan voted 3 stars, and this probably creates even more controversy. This 3 stars, Tristan.
Well, 2 of the guys come into the Team of the Week, so we should be safe on that. And the only reason that I think Charlie Smart didn't make the Team of the Week is we can't pick 2 goalies. I think these guys all had ripping weekends. Elder had the 4-goal game, Toth had 2 wins, and Charlie had a 53 save performance or 50-something shot. on performance. He seems to save his best against Perth. Maybe he's sort of trying to remind them of what they're missing out on as a local boy. But look, I'm sure every week with the 3 stars, you can throw a blanket over, I don't know, 8 or 10 different guys. But these guys all had fantastic weekends.
It's really nice to see the fans come out in force for Charlie. Just his last 2 games, both against Perth, like you said. I think last Sunday he really stood tall in Perth itself. He's got friends, he's got family, he's got old teammates there, and in that game he came out with a 9.53 save percentage, which that was one of his best of the season. Then on Sunday, he steps out, faces 53 shots, and comes out with a 9.62 to top it. So not a lot of fans, I think, look at the stats, but they look at the performance, and he has just jumped from milestone to milestone with how he's performing. And a little bit of that is, I know a few fans thought it was interesting that the North Stars brought in an import goalie at this point in the season, but he being for anyone that doesn't know, Mitzi, as he likes to be called, was the Division 1 national team, Japanese national team goalie coach. So there are a couple of reasons for bringing him in that not only bolsters the lineup for the North Stars, but allows our locals to get some really strong goalie coaching and development. And to me, Charlie's performances on both of those Sundays highlights that. He's come from injury quite a few rounds ago now, but to come out and put up 0.9 as far as goalie stats, I feel like that's just phenomenal performance from him stepping up for the team.
We got some comments in the chat about the 3 stars fan voted team of the week. No Nathan Kutcher, disappointed from Michael Clough. And Natasha Denton, too many good players, not sure whether to hate that or not. Tori Diver just with Charlie. Natasha, it hurts me to say, but Charlie Smart absolutely hammered by the Thunder. He did so well. Dies on a cough. Sean O'Connor, it's a smart decision, Courtney. And Andrew John Egan, Goaltenders Union was active voting. Yeah, I totally agree. It really is good to see Roland Toth in there, Tristan, not just in our team of the week, but the 3 stars as well. When I was watching the games on the weekend, it took a goal of the quality of Aziz Bazi just absolutely ripping one from the slot and going bar in to get past someone like Toth. And Toth's been absolutely outstanding for the Adelaide Adrenaline this season. So it's great to see Toth not only in our team of the week, but the 3 stars. So it's pretty cool, Tristan, to see that the fans are actually voting and seeing how well he's playing.
Yeah, it's great to see a bit of that recognition as well. I think probably for goalies, especially someone like Toth, where he's been playing great and the team haven't been getting the wins, it's easy to sort of hide a little bit in the shadows and not get the recognition that he's really deserved. But he's been fantastic for them. So it's nice to see him sort of getting his kudos.
And Sean O'Connor saying Toth for PM. So Sean might start a movement there. The last segment we got for tonight is our preview for round 11 or week 11, depending on who's calling it. So more massive games coming up this weekend, Courtney.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a panel favourite is when the games are spread out. So seeing a derby on a Friday night and the ability to watch that bit more hockey is always great. And look, Mustangs just aren't a team, I think, that give up. They push and they push. So I think we'll see great competition between the ISO Mustangs and hopefully a full house as far as tickets being a double local game. And look, Brave versus Rhinos will certainly be an interesting match. Rhinos have been competitive against a lot of teams, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. The split weekend, the double header weekend with Perth and Adrenaline playing, they're different conferences, so both will be wanting the points and the points being very valuable for them. And as we mentioned previously, the North Stars Bears game, I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be big. North Stars are on the road and they'll hopefully have just had time to rest and get themselves ready for this game. And then they play the Rhinos at home. So for me, I think it's really important the North Stars aren't complacent and thinking of the Rhinos team that existed last year. They need to come out the gate fast and hard in order to set the pace and really have a strong game. So, any games you're looking forward to, Tristan?
Look, personally, I love a 2:00 Sunday game just purely for the time zone. It makes it a nice prime time 6 p.m. Saturday game for me. So that's always a win. Honestly, the Melbourne Derby, like I won't watch it live because of the time, but those games are always good fun. Always a bit of chaos. Always sort of you throw the form book out a little bit. And I think I saw Mustangs posted that is sold out now, so there'll be a packed house down there, and it'll be great. On that one, just to absolutely shoehorn it in, I'd love to give a shout out to the season that Brad Apps of the Mustangs has been having. He has been having a phenomenal year. I know he hasn't squeezed into the team of the week this week, but I think he's putting up career year in the AI, and it's been really good to see.
Yeah, I agree, mate. He was in my mid-season report on the Mustangs, one of the players at the key performers. I totally agree. I'll be there on Friday night. I'm going to call it the Derby, not the Derby. I'll be there at the Derby on Friday night. So it should be a cracking game, packed house. It's usually about 4 deep, 5 deep from the glass when it's a full house for that game. So it should be electric atmosphere. Who knows if the Mustangs will... I haven't heard much on the injury front in terms of Scott Timmins, Klomp, and Vadim. I'm not sure what's happening there with the Mustangs. So if they can get those guys back into the lineup, it should be a cracking contest. I do agree with the Thunder and the Adrenaline. That's really interesting to me, that matchup across the weekend, the back-to-back. The Adrenaline will want to try and get maximum points with the games in hand to try and chase down the top 3 in the Rurak Conference. But I do love, and I know I've banged on about it, and Sean loves that I've banged on about it, but I love the staggered times. So the Sunday game, you can watch the Mustangs and the Ice Dogs and then roll that into one of the other 2 games. And even the Saturday, the Rhinos and the Brave, you can watch a bit of that game and then roll that into Adelaide and Perth. So it's really cool to see some staggered times and not at the same time. I think they really miss a part of the audience in the viewership with the AI TV and the schedule and the times. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I definitely agree. For me, the more hockey I can watch live, the better, because often replays, I know the score, I sort of know when things are going to happen, and I potentially sort of don't tune in as much to the plays. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to 3 days of hockey as opposed to 2.
We got some comments as well in the chat. Sean O'Connor is just making the big calls tonight. Timmins 10-goal weekend, calling it now. Wouldn't that just bring the house down? 10-goal weekend. Anthony Russell over there from Banners in the Wall over in the UK, in England. I'm not sure where Anthony is located in England. I can't remember off the top of my head. Could be Sheffield, but I'm not 100% certain on that. I'm late to the party this week, but looking forward to Derby Day tomorrow. Melbourne Derbies are a highlight of the hockey calendar for me as a long-time foreign watched of Australian hockey. Anthony Russell has been watching Australian ice hockey for a long, long time and continues to tune in. Just put in a comment here, Southampton, right on the south coast. I was nowhere near. They both start with S, so I'm pretty close. And Phil Taylor, Apps has been awesome this year. Totally agree. I know that he's come up big, Tristan, in some big moments, Brad Apps this season. And just seems to be, when I watch the games, in the big moments as well, I think it says a fair bit when you have players that are out there for those big moments. So important times, the coaches, which is Scott Timmins this season, usually sends out the players that they sort of trust and they feel they can come up with a big moment. So it's pretty cool to see Brad having the season that he's having.
Yeah, definitely. The chemistry they've got working on that line with Thomas Flack usually centering it, and I think most commonly it's been Sean Jones on the other wing, has been really producing for the Mustangs. And I don't know how Scott Timmins is, but if he's out hurt for a little bit, that's going to become more important again. Those guys keep producing.
Anthony Russell, 2010 was my first game watching. So there you go. Been around for a long, long time. So we appreciate Anthony tuning in from Southampton. I think that's all we got tonight. I think that's it. We survived it. Tristan's got to go to bed. It's probably after midnight where you are. It is. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for jumping on, Tristan. Everyone knows what you look like and knows the sound of your voice now, and they'll be wanting more for next week or the week after. So comments in here. Yeah, that's exactly right. You'd be kicking us off now and wanting to host the thing. Great show, folks, from GG. Thanks, boss. It's good to have you in the comments, mate. Sean O'Connor, the Red Line Pub in Southampton is brilliant. Phil Taylor, watch your back, GG. I think that's towards you, Tristan. He's got the Tristan's got the rooster, I think, in the background. I don't think it's Courtney. I think that's Tristan. Or is it Courtney?
There's always crooks around here.
So the rooster's telling Tristan to pack it up and let's go home.
It's pretty confused. It's 12:30
night. So this is Hockey Night in Australia. We are Hockey Hype Australia. You can find us at hockeyhypeaustralia.com.au. We are live every single week on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. This is also in podcast form, so you can find us on Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. It'll be downloaded and uploaded there overnight or later on tonight. From us here at Hockey Hype Australia, enjoy the hockey this weekend. 3 days, a big derby to kick it off on Friday night. I'm Andrew McDougall, joined by Tristan Metcalf and Courtney Kinniston. Until next time, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye, guys.
See ya. And see you later to the Rooster.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.